5:35, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Time to partake in the Gang of Three Amigos. I'm Dan. Jeff Malinoff is there in for Johnny B. Ken Weaver is here. Good morning, Weaves.
Good morning, boys. Yes.
All right, so, man, I hate to politicize everything, but CNN, Biden to deliver remarks at Normandy American Cemetery. Of course, 80 years since D-Day. And is it just me? Why am I worried that the president's going to shank this? I'm worried that he's going to shank it. I'm also worried that he's going to make it political. Well, because he just can't help himself.
Well, of course. I mean, it's an election year.
You ever talk to veterans? I mean, I've said this before, but it's been a long time. But when you talk to veterans, I mean, not necessarily from, World War II, but I mean, just generally speaking, veterans, I have had some of the most mind-blowing conversations with veterans ever. And those are some of my favorite discussions of all time. And Ken, you were talking about how a lot of these guys, because you see them, a lot of these veterans have now returned to the beaches of Normandy, some of them perhaps, maybe, for the first time. But it is incredible to watch them as they've got their canes, they've got their wheelchairs, they're walking arm in arm with their family members. It is very touching.
If they're not 100 years old or older, they are at least 97 years old.
That's crazy. Yeah. And you know what? You want to talk about great American heroes, man. I mean, those guys, what they faced.
Well, the greatest generation.
What they faced and what they did and what they accomplished is just incredible.
Well, in those boats.
Yeah.
In those boats, as they were going toward the beach, they could hear the German bullets.
Yeah.
Tack, 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 hitting that door.
Yep.
They knew when that door goes down, they're probably dead.
I can't even imagine.
I was about to say the same thing. Like, my dad is a big History Channel buff, and they obviously had D-Day on the other day, and I just looked at him like, what is going through your mind? Knowing that ship's back is going to come down, and you're going to face a barrage of bullets, and there's probably a German with one of those mounted MGs literally waiting for that door to open and blow you away.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't... It's something that, although I've never faced that myself, obviously, but I mean, our veterans and our military heroes, they all have their experiences that they've all dealt with. But, I will always go back to the fact that it just takes a special person to face that kind of danger, face that kind of fear, face it head on. And now many of them, of course, are returning on this 80 years from D-Day, and it is just incredible to watch.
They are disappearing, boys.
They are.
Of the 16.4 million Americans who served in World War II, only 119,550 roughly are still living.
Wow.
This is according to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.
That's amazing.
And again, a lot of these guys, who are making the trip back to Normandy, like I said, if they're not 100 years old, they're at least 97, 98, 99.
And they still have those memories embedded in their brains. Like, they might forget something that happened the other day, or they might be going through dementia or whatever thing is happening, but they still remember that day like it was yesterday. They still have everything. Like, that stuff doesn't go away.
Veteran Bob Gibson, 100 years old, was barely older than many of those students that he talked to when he landed on Utah Beach. He remembered more than a few their age who didn't live to see June 7th. He says, you don't want other people to go through the same thing, because I've seen a lot of these boys that never even made the beach, believe me. And we were all 18 and 19 years old. Well, I remember what I was doing when I was 18.
Yep.
Thank God, and thank these men and women.
When I was 18.
I'm sorry, man. I get real emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ken, I'm right there with you. And, when you look at how America has changed, and when you look at, I don't want to knock all of today's generation, because we have some great young adults.
We've got heroes.
But I mean, I got to tell you, when you look back at the bravery of our military, back then and today, they are cut from a different cloth, man. They are. And my hat's off to
courage.
Whether
courage.
Yeah. Whether they were storming, the beaches of Normandy or, the deserts of Iraq and Afghanistan and so forth.
Yeah.
These are veterans and military heroes that unfortunately, oftentimes, many people in America just, number one, I believe they do take them for granted. And number two, for some people, they just, they forget about them. And I think that is horrifying. Yeah. And the other day we were talking about how those pro-Palestinian protesters stopped a military parade. And it's like, are you kidding? I lost my ever-loving mind over that. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you just start, and there's a bit yesterday, I think Murphy did it a couple of days ago, where they asked that pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas protester about whether or not she was supportive of, what did she understand about the Palestinians and their support of gay rights, because everybody was gay. And she had no idea.
Well, she thought Israel was an Islamic state.
She thought that's exactly right, Ken. She thought Israel was an Islamic state. It is just, but that's, in my opinion, hate to say it, but that's the kind of person that just has no idea.
No clue what they're doing.
The history, the courage of our military, and people of that ilk, they're just fine to go and interrupt a military
and the
or Veterans Day parade or whatever.
And the sacrifices that were made so she can be as stupid as she is.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Speaking of which, very quickly, 9487, he's been asking me to mention this for a couple of days now. His name is Joe. He is with the American Legion Post 75 in Portland, Tennessee. They're having a Flag Day event on Friday the 14th at 7:45 there at the post. If anyone wants to retire a flag, if you could mention this, it would be greatly appreciated. He listens religiously. Thank you very much, Joe. And this is for all the veterans out there. So, if you want to retire a flag, American Legion Post 75 in Portland, Tennessee, you can find them on their Facebook page if you want more information on that, because I think that is a great way to not only show appreciation for the veterans, but also show your appreciation for the flag and all that it stands for. Now, a couple of other things real quickly. I need some audio if I could. Jeff, we want to do a little thing that Murphy does. Getting to know Jeff Malinoff. Because now we got to do this, right?
We got to get to know Brother Jeff.
Every time we have a new employee now, just hats off to Murphy Show. And we're just going to get to know Jeff Malinoff. Now, Jeff, very quickly, I want to do two things. Number one, you told me off the air that you have a very long history of military family members. So that's number one that we want to get into. Number two is if you have a question for young Jeff Malinoff, feel free to text it in right now. What is your question for Jeff? And I'll read them on the air.
I'm hoping for the best, but I'm not expecting the best.
So, Jeff, very briefly, because as the questions come in, tell us about your family's history with the military.
Yeah, so on my father's side, they actually came in, not at the Mayflower, but during that era. So they came in after the Mayflower, I think it was a year or two after. So it was incredibly, recent, at that time.
Yeah.
And that's when my family history started in America. I had ancestors fight for the Union during the Civil War. I believe they were in one of the more poorer-ish infantries, if you will. They just were with just go out there and see if you survive kind of infantries, and that was rough. And then even funny enough, my mom's side, my great uncle, he was a World War II pilot, and he was Jewish, and he got shot down and captured. And these Nazi soldiers were like, "This guy's last name sounds Jewish. what is who is this guy? And he managed to convince them that he was Catholic because he went to a Catholic school growing up. So he did all these verses, like just basically talked his way out of not being executed and managed to be saved later on. And he lived to like 97,
That sounds
98.
like a movie.
Amazing.
I know
That
it's
is incredible.
When I first heard that story, I think it was like elementary school. I was at that age, I was blown away.
That's amazing, Jeff. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable story. And then just on, then my grandfather, he did some service as well. He wasn't in any major wars. I think he was just on bases around the country. But yeah, that my great uncle I actually wrote a letter to him when I was in elementary school for a project and heard that story. It was the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, like my mom's side, they immigrated here in World War I as Jewish immigrants to New York during obviously World War I from Germany. They managed to get out of there. They had uncles and cousins and stuff help them immigrate, but they lost complete contact. And my family has been trying to find out what happened to them for like decades.
Wow.
Even my grandma tried to.
Wow.
And we found nothing basically. So what we think happened is they basically just like obviously during World War II and the Nazi regime, they just changed their identities basically. That's what we're like guessing.
Got it.
Or they obviously were one of the unmarked graves during the Holocaust. So that was one way or the other.
Wow. So Jeff, was it your great grandfather who was the pilot?
It was my great uncle.
Great uncle. So he started quoting Bible scriptures.
That's what we think happened because I know he managed to convince them that he was a Catholic because he went to Catholic school.
That is incredible.
And he just managed, he didn't really, so from the stories I've heard of my grandmother and stuff, he didn't go into detail that much, but he managed to say, I managed to convince them that I was Catholic because I went to a Catholic school growing up.
Wow.
So he managed to get out of that. And he basically was just a prisoner of war for like a couple of months. I think it was like 6 months. And then fortunately, allies came in and rescued him.
Wow.
That is amazing.
That's amazing, Jeff.
Yeah,
You've got a family line that's going to be hard to live up to, young man.
I just hear these stories, man. I love hearing my family
You got to be
stories.
so proud.
Oh, absolutely. Especially like the story of like a fighter pilot, like all that's crazy. Like I believe he had a co-pilot that died on the impact and he survived. If I'm not mistaken, I have to double check. But I know I had Civil War family members, and it was just especially like we've been here since almost the beginning of like the United States. Yeah. So we don't know for sure, but my grandmother was on my dad's side was like we most likely had someone in the Revolutionary War as well, but that's not 100%. But we know 100% we had someone in the Civil War.
Yeah, interesting.
Wow. All right. Well, I would talk about my family's history, but I can't beat that.
Right.
I should have shut up. Let's see here. So we're getting to know Jeff Malinoff. Let's see here. One guy says, 3183 says, hey, Jeff, give me your best. Hey, hey, hey.
I don't know about that.
Come on, say it and say it in a way that we can capture it. And it'll live on
I know
forever.
what a hockey. I gotta plead the fifth on that one.
4121, stealing Murphy's bit now, Mandus? Yes, it's a great bit. I said, you know what? Can I ask, is it stealing if you acknowledge that you're stealing it?
And you're also his boss, so.
Yes, we'll see how long that lasts. So, let's see here.
Well, next time you go to Dollar General and, pick up a pack of gum, ask him, Dan.
That's.
I don't know if Jeff knows that story.
No, we'll leave that for another
Dan's
day.
been known to pocket packs of gum and walk out, Brother Jeff.
That's where my last stack happened?
That's exactly right. You know what? When you're missing gum, just come find me. All right, so then I will go ahead and ask some personal quess of Jeff Malinoff.
All right, well, go ahead, Brother Dan.
Let's go.
Because this is what Matt did with Mac Morey, who's leaving. I think today's Mac's last. Is it today?
Friday. Tomorrow is.
Tomorrow's Mac's last day.
Yeah.
What is your favorite way to unwind after a hectic day?
2 ways: golf or nap.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do play video games myself, but golf has been my go-to for recently.
Yes, sir. I do.
Miniature or major?
Major. Like I'm getting my handicap.
Is your handicap actually a handicap?
It's about 20. It's not very good. I shot a 90 in my last round. So
Ken, do you know what that means?
No idea.
Very good.
Basically bogey average. I had a basic
also
bogey
don't know
every
what that
hole.
means.
Okay.
So
Hopefully the listeners know what I mean.
All right, so does that mean you actually shot like a 110?
No. I actually kept score because when you have to do a handicap because I want to play in tournaments and stuff. You actually have to keep it. You have to be very truthful.
So you did shoot a 90.
I did shoot a 90. Yes.
Oh, wow.
I eagled actually on one hole.
What's an eagle?
So a par 5, if you make it in 3 strokes or less, or just 3 strokes, you get an eagle. So I managed to get an eagle on a par 5. It was the happiest moment of my life.
I don't even think I've done that at a miniature golf course.
No. What drives you to get up every morning, Jeff?
Work. I love keeping busy.
Yes, sir.
And so obviously the goal of mine is being radio and all that stuff, and it's been awesome. And, just always wanted to work hard and make my family proud, make my dad proud. He's my biggest role model. Like he started a business, and it was basically he got control of a business I was going under, a car dealership in my hometown. And then 30 years later, it was the top car business in the county.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He won multiple
brother.
awards. So yeah, I always follow his guidance and everything. Always follow his what he thinks is best. So
do you think that after hearing this bit, your dad will tell you to quit?
no, he actually listened the other day and was like, "You did great, you did awesome." Like, and he's one of those realist guys. He'll tell you what he feels. So him saying
Did I ever tell you my dad's advice for me when first time my dad heard me on the radio? This is your getting to know Dan Mandis. My dad told me you probably should find another line of work. I swear he did. That's what he said. I was a traffic reporter, and he's like, "Son, are you sure about this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure about this, Dad." And then he heard me as a disc jockey, and he said, "Are you really sure about this, son?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure." And
what kind of cars did your dad sell, Brother Jeff?
Honda.
Honda, okay.
Yeah, he was a Honda dealer. He started in, I believe it was Chrysler. His dad was his dad was a GMC dealer, and when he died, he got like half that business with his brother. Yeah, and his brother basically bought him out, and then the Honda dealership was like, "Hey, we need someone to buy this dealership. It's going on." He got it for like a pittance because they were going to go under, and so he got it. And he drove it to the number 1 selling dealership in the county.
So did you have to sell cars for a while?
I did. I sold cars during summers when I was in high school and college.
Way to go, man. That's making some
money. Is that locally around here?
No. This is Northern California where I grew up.
Okay. Oh, you're one of those California counties?
Okay. I have to defend myself here.
You sure?
Yes. No. I gotta defend myself here because we moved when my dad retired. But every time I was like, we moved here for a reason. Why would I vote what we left? Like I like it here. When you say
here. Northern California, because I'm from Southern California,
Sacramento area.
Okay. Do you know what I used to call Sacramento?
What?
Sacramento.
That sounds about right.
Right? Okay.
But no, yeah, but again, like I don't consider myself from California anymore. To be honest with you, I haven't visited since I moved. Like I would only visit if I want to see someone I'm like one of my best friends again.
Yep.
But I have I love it here. Like I want to be considered from Tennessee rather than California because
there you go.
I want. So I'll vote to keep it Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
That's all I'll say.
Yes,
listen, Jeff, there's one thing, though, Ken. I think we all like and appreciate Jeff's history with the military in his family. We love that he wants to be, a Tennessean at heart.
And that work is his motivation to wake up.
Work is his motivation, and his golf game sucks. But one thing...
Getting better.
One thing that he has to understand about life here at Super Talk 99.7, if he is going to survive, he's got to keep me on time. Jeff, what time is it?
It's 5:55, sir.
This is on you. This is on you. This is not on me. It's on you.
Johnny B's blowing up my phone now.
Is Johnny B telling you to tell Mandis to shut up and get to start doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Johnny B saying, "Good luck, Jeff."
Yeah. He's
Good
like,
luck,
run.
Jeff. All right, it's 5:55. Thank you, Jeff.
It's good. It's good to get
Appreciate
to know
it.
Brother Jeff.
It is good to get to
You've been
know
doing a
Brother
good
Jeff.
job too, dude.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Always happy. I'm happy to be here. I like the environment for sure. The culture's great here.
Give it time. It's 5:56. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Totally kidding. Big news from my friends at Window Nation in the middle of their semi-annual sale going on through this month for a limited time only. That means that you can get a great deal on windows. Get 50% off all windows plus 0% interest for 5 years and a bonus savings offer when you schedule your appointment today. Put an end to your window problems and get them installed before the summer heat. Schedule a fast, no obligation in-home consultation now with the pros at Window Nation. It is really easy. 866-90Nation is the phone number. Don't forget that great deal. Get 50% off all windows plus 0% interest for 5 years and a bonus savings offer when you schedule your appointment today. 866-90Nation. Again, call them for your fast, free, no obligation in-home consultation. 866-90Nation, windownation.com.